Hello and welcome to the Gentleman's Journal podcast, a fortnightly discussion all about success, modern business and the lives of entrepreneurs. I'm Joe Bullmore, I'll be your host for the day, and I'm joined this afternoon by Emma Sayle, the founder of Killing Kittens. Emma describes herself as one of the world's leading sex entrepreneurs, and you might know Killing Kittens as the brand behind a world of high-end sex parties that put female empowerment at their core. Perhaps you've even been to one. This is certainly one of the more fascinating businesses that we've welcomed onto the show. It turns 15 years old this year, it's got more than 80,000 active members, and it turns over many multiples of millions of pounds, as you'll find out. So it's quite heartening to learn that it was born out of a 3-day party with no sleep on the island of Ibiza. This was a really enjoyable episode to record, and Emma is a fascinating entrepreneur. We spoke about the importance of having a thick skin, the reaction of Emma's friends and family when they first learned of the idea, and the incredible cross-section of very powerful people who happen to attend these remarkable events. But before we begin, I'd love to tell you about the Clubhouse, a new kind of private members club brought to you by Gentleman's Journal. Clubhouse members get 2 bumper issues of Gentleman's Journal magazine delivered straight to their door, full of all those invaluable insights from the worlds of entrepreneurship, style, politics and culture that you'd expect, as well as exclusive deals with a range of partner brands, restaurants and hotels. Not to mention some lovely invitations to some very exciting events across the year. In fact, our podcast listeners, which is you, now get 20% off a Clubhouse annual membership, meaning you'll get the full Gentleman's Journal experience for just under £48 a year, which sounds a bit like a bargain to me. Just enter the code POD20 at thegentleman'sjournal.com/club. That's POD20 at thegentleman'sjournal.com/club. Right, on with the podcast. Emma, thank you very much for joining us on the Gentleman's Journal podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
We have lots of very interesting people here, but none whose job, I suppose, inspires as much curiosity as yours. You're the founder of Killing Kittens. When you tell people you do that, what's the first question most people ask? You must have a kind of barrage of common questions.
Most is like, well, no, I always joke there's sort of 2 reactions to what do you do, and when you mention Killing Kittens, it's very black and white. There's either the ones who know about it and you get that, kind of reaction, or you get that, what the fuck kind of reaction because it's called Killing Kittens, which is a ridiculous name. And for anyone that doesn't know what it is, it'd be like, well, why would anyone possibly call a business Killing Kittens?
Where does that name come from?
It is cyber slang for every time you masturbate, God kills a kitten.
Okay.
So if you're killing a kitten, you're just having a wank.
Okay, good.
So yeah, it was a 3-night of no sleep wedding in Ibiza when I suddenly went, right, that's the name I'm using.
Okay.
So,
were there other draft names?
No, it was just
that.
sort of, I wanted to do something and then it just sort of was that kind of light bulb moment of, right, enough, I'm doing it. And I like KK, so it's always been KK from day one.
Of course.
And Killing Kittens.
So it was all kind of born out of 3 nights without sleeping in Ibiza. Yeah. Am I to read into that you were partying, not
I was on
ill?
Water.
You were on water?
No,
Fine.
We were partying, and it'd been sort of a build-up of working in PR and doing the PR for the Erotica show, and it was when Sex and the City was out, and Summers was on the High Street, and it was 2004, 2005, and there was just kind of this female sexual buzz going on, and the media writing about this female sexual revolution. And I just sort of was looking around going, well, it's not happening. And it's still very unbalanced, and it's still all sort of the sex world, the adult world's run by the patriarchy, and men are treated very differently. They can go out and sleep with who they want, and they're high-fived and legends. But, a woman has a one-night stand and they're slut-shamed, and they keep it secret. And it was I was watching it all happening, and the group I was out with in Ibiza was a very well-known group in London who sort of were all over the place sexually with very strong females in it. And I kind of was sort of watching and just thinking that actually it was just with this anger in me that there was nothing no safe environment for women to explore their sexuality and feel in control and non-judged. And it sort of I'd been weighing on my mind a lot. And I grew up in the Middle East and saw the imbalance there. So I would say kind of the fire was burning. And then I just went, right, that's it.
Anger,
doing
that's a hell of a driver to start a business. I guess that is like the ultimate passion, right? When people say follow your passion.
I always say you have to have that fire in your belly to do something and really feel that, you know, you want to fix something.
So after that first realisation, how long till you put on the first event?
About 2 months.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah. So about 2 months, but it was, you know, these are parties that actually you can do with 20 people. And I sort of thought, I kind of knew enough people in London who I knew would come along to the event and some good women that would come along. And I put like a one-pager website, data capture, email, and had a bit of media around sort of what Killing Kittens stood for, and sort of that got some more members signing up. So it kind of, the first event we did was about 40 people, and then just monthly from there, and it's just sort of grown.
And what's the principle behind the event for people who don't know?
So the whole ethos kind of behind Killing Kittens is to create kind of a safe space and a safe environment, online and offline, where women are very much in control, and a space to talk about their sexuality, to explore their sexuality, and yes, you know, a lot of people look at it thanks to tabloids, Daily Mail favourite, that, you know, there is sex that goes on at some of our events, and that it's been labelled sex parties on some, you know.
Is it only some of the events? It's not
over half our events now, I'll keep your clothes on. And there are talks, there are big socials, panel debates, workshops, and we do them all over the world as well. So over half of the events are that side, and then you have the full-on Killing Kittens parties that are mass events in private houses all over the world.
How did you convince, back in the early days especially, how did you convince private houses to... Did you tell them the nature of the parties and what might happen?
To start with, no. In a nutshell. We'd only, you know, when you're dealing with 30 to 60 people, you'd kind of just rent an apartment or rent a house, and not even that, you just rent it. I mean, we literally winged it.
Really? Just for a weekend or...?
Yeah, just for a night.
Just for one night?
So yeah, fully, I always say that, you know, everyone's winging it.
Okay.
Just the ones at the top are winging it better than the others.
Ask permission, not forgiveness.
Yeah, exactly. Ask for forgiveness, not permission. That's one of my mottos. But then the bigger we've got, and actually the more it's kind of become, you know, society's got on board a bit more, and especially the last sort of 4 years, we're approached by venues all the time offering big country houses or, you know, even little boutique hotels saying, do you want to...
Yeah. And there's a kind of constitution of rules that govern conduct at the parties.
So I mean, the main one is men can't approach women, they have to wait to be approached. So it's very much on the female terms, and that's the same with the website. So the website is a big sort of social network community / dating platform, and you have the same rules on there.
Did Bumble go on to use that as a principle, or there was another dating app?
Bumble has that principle, so that's always been our principle.
Okay. Do you think they were inspired by you? That's another way of saying, did they take that from you?
Who knows? Okay. That's the thing. There's a lot of, you know, you get, in the last 4 years, it's been funny hearing things about, you know, trailblazing, groundbreaking dating apps and things who are doing this. And you're like, it's been 15 years.
Exactly.
No, I think Bumble, you know, the story with Bumble, wasn't she, was it Whitney Wolf? Had a bit of a harassment issue and just sort of turned it around so that it became all about the women. So I'm pretty sure that was her idea, not nicked off us.
Yeah. So you mentioned there that it's now 15 years old. That's a big milestone. Are you having a super event? Are you having a big birthday party?
We will. We always have our birthday parties in about October, November. So we'll have a big 15-year one. We're doing a big Series A financial raise as well in September. So I think this year when we do our birthday party, it'll be a big joint that, and obviously we're going to raise the money we want.
Yeah, of course.
That'll
be a nice birthday present.
And drink in a corner.
It sounds great fun. When you were starting this, to start any business is kind of fraught with difficulties, but I can imagine starting this, there was a set of kind of personal difficulties that would come with it that most businesses wouldn't have. When you tell your parents what you want to do, your friends what you want to do, did some people react oddly? Everyone. I mean, pretty much 99.9% of the people around me were like, what the fuck are you doing? And, you know, I lost friends over it. You sort of distance themselves from me who, you know, I've always pushed and I've always poked, and, you know, sometimes I wish I
didn't poke as much
Yeah.
and push as much. But, I'm nearly 42. It's not going to change. So, I've always done that. And I think everyone around me has always known that that's what I've done. So it was there was no stopping me. And my parents knew that. I think my dad lost it completely. I didn't see that. Mum told me that he would nearly smash the computer. But, Mum got it, and she knew that this wasn't me, being some serial shagger wanting to go out and sleep with as many people as I wanted. She knew that it was genuinely a business idea, and she got where I was coming from.
Yeah.
I think she was more worried about me as a mum, that I would take abuse and that kind of thing. But, close friends knew exactly what I was doing and why. But, some of them didn't get it and thought I think a lot of people thought it was a phase.
Okay.
I was 24, 25 and a bit crazy.
Right.
And out the whole time. And, it's this sort of a fad that she's going to do for 6 months. And
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I think a lot of people around me didn't actually take the time to have a conversation as to why I was doing it. They just sort of put it in a box and thought I'd grow out of it.
And did rumours kind of spiral about you on your kind of friends?
I know,
of friends
absolutely.
and
I still get people when they meet me for the first time saying, "You're not what we expected," and I'm like, "What? You expected some dominate-chicks in like leather and whips?" And they're like, "Pretty much." So, so it's still. I still get that reaction, and that's what people think. So I think having got married and had 3 kids, I think that's helped.
I can imagine.
Helped the illusion of being normal now.
I mean, it must be very hard when you're that age and you're taking that kind of thing. I think I would have quit almost instantly, even if 2 of my friends said I was.
The thing is,
mad.
I think as I said, I've always been since I was tiny that if you tell me I can't do something, I'll do it. And then if you tell me again I can't do it, I'll do it even harder. So I'm bloody minded, and it's sort of, I think having that personality, the more people that said you're wrong and this is disgusting and seedy and you're completely batshit crazy, the more it fired me up to go, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Wow.
And actually, to me, it was sort of the more people reacted, and especially when I remember doing interviews right at the beginning, and I said, actually, the strongest reaction I get is alpha males. So actually, the more I had that, the more to me it kind of, in my head, cemented that actually it was needed. Yeah. And, you're on their turf and you're threatening their control, and actually, to me, that kind of justified it even more, that it was needed. So yeah, wow. I always joke now, I've still got a lot of people that I'm to prove wrong, so I'm still going.
And in that way, then your biggest opposers became your biggest supporters accidentally.
Yeah, completely. That's the thing. And I laugh when people go, "Oh my God, someone said that about you," and are you not upset? I'm like, no. This is awesome. I'm still getting reactions out of people. So the day I don't get any strong reactions and there isn't someone slagging me off is the day I'm going to have to up my game a bit.
Yeah, or find something new.
Exactly.
Do you think, what was the precursor to this? Was there anything else out there at the time that was doing something similar?
Do you know what? There were sex parties set up. Yeah. But there wasn't sort of a big community as such. There wasn't this sort of space, and this was 2005. So the digital world really kind of, I think Facebook launched around 2005 or 2004 or something.
Oh yeah. Public.
So it kind of, that social media community kind of hadn't really. Wasn't really there, or there were lots of there were little groups, there were kind of kink groups and different sort of sexuality groups, but all again run by men pretty much. So there was nothing. Yeah, there was nothing like it.
And who were the big players in the kind of, I guess, the sex entertainment space? I don't even know how to describe it.
To be honest, you had Playboy, you know what I mean, Stringfellows. You had, it's all the old school. When who you look at now and you go, they're kind of. Past it, kind of, even if you look at what's happened with Victoria's Secret, the big articles that have come out in the last month of, again, run by men and just not adapting, and they've just now flat.
Do you think it would have been impossible to start Killing Kittens as a man, even if you were a 24 man with the best intentions in the world? I think back then it would have just been a man. I think what's happened, and what we get reviews from members and why they've joined and what KK means to them, and I think what I've seen is a big part of that is it was a woman doing it for them, and actually as a woman you want a woman
because
Yeah.
you know they get it. And again, because the whole of society, the whole world is there's loads of stuff out there that are products for women, but when you look at who's launched them and designed them and you know who owns the businesses, it's all men.
Yeah.
So it's sort of people want to trust that actually the people delivering the message and putting on the platform for them actually get their mindset, and sex to women is very different
Of course.
to men. So yeah.
So I want to go back to the early days a little bit. I can imagine that first event was a bit like hosting your birthday party when you've got that terror beforehand that no one's going to turn up.
Do you know what, even
Certainly.
now you still get, you do get that kind of,
Pre-party nerves.
the pre-party adreno poos as we call them. So it is that, and it kind of, until everyone arrives, you've just got that apprehension and beforehand. And in our industry as well, it's a bit Benny Hill theme tune, and there's stuff that's so much has happened, and venues last minute gone, and beds haven't arrived in time, or they're going through the back entrance while the guests are coming through the front.
Wow.
It's just, there's just always been stuff. So we cannot predict that it's going to be a perfect delivery every time. We try, and we pretty much nailed it now, but there's always sort of part of you that goes, something could.
Of course.
Yeah.
And what's your role on? I presume you don't go to every event, but what's your role when you're at an event?
To be honest, I don't really. That's the thing. Well, at the beginning, it was just me for the first 6 years, I think.
And you were kind of welcoming people.
I'd welcome, and then actually our events director, Cleo, she's been on board for 14 years and was the original door girl. And then came on board 6 years ago full time. So it's kind of me and her, and we'd just host it and wander around chatting to everyone.
And it's, I guess, the same principle as any party. If you want to make people feel welcome and
we've got it's the same
atmosphere.
now. So we've got a whole events team. We've got different hosts as well. So every event we have, there's between 4 and 7 girls wandering around all in the same outfits.
Yeah.
Making sure everyone feels comfortable, welcoming people at the door. Also, getting NDAs signed now.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, I've got questions about that later. The kind of now in the age of social media, but we'll get to those.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the fundamentals of the business. What percentage of your revenue, I guess, comes from events? Is that now the core?
So we're pretty much 50-50 online. I think we're just over. So when we're considered a sex tech business now, because actually most of the revenue is we have more revenue from the online side. And it was that when I looked at that 4 years ago, I looked at the figures and realised it was 50-50, but we were a team of 4 people all offline, and that was just before Me Too happened, and that's when I went, if this is going to fly, we've got this whole tech side with no tech people basically, and that actually, if people got hold of that who knew what they were doing, then actually we're onto a winner. And then suddenly Me Too happened. I was like, right, this is literally now is our time, and if someone else comes along, then we're idiots. Some tech Silicon Valley jumpstart with millions comes on board and flies over the top of us as a startup in this space, then
you missed the boat.
I'll bitch slap myself. So then got an amazing COO on board, and sort of my partner in crime and a complete tech strategy guru, so me and him sort of work very closely. He's the yin to my yang.
Yeah.
I'm very offline, he's very on.
Okay.
And so the tech side, we've done 2 raises in the last 2 years, raised over $1 million, and that's all on the tech digital growth of it all.
And how many members are on the tech side?
Over 160,000.
Wow.
So the new tech's all launching in the next couple of months, an app as well, and all that kind of.
And then how
jazz.
does that sit next to the traditional real world business? Do you have to be a member on the app?
Yeah, so the way it's protected, and obviously we've had to jump through, spent a lot of money on legals, and because everything's changed. I mean, we originally the ticketing was sort of, there was a price for a single girl and there was a price for a couple, but now that would discriminate against guys because we're charging more for a guy to come. So the way the new site works is we've got the Kittens Association, and that's only females can be members, and so there's a members price, and they can invite their other half, so whether that's their husband, boyfriend, or come as a single girl. So then you can have that. We've kept the ticket prices the same. So we have, anyone can join the big site, but then if you want to be party verified and come to one of the full-on Killing Kittens parties, you have to join the Kittens Association, which is another vetting process. and then you can buy the ticket. So
Fine.
it's sort of, there's hoops within a hoop.
Yeah, of course. And Party Verified, is there a committee that kind of
There's two
sign people
girls.
off?
There's two girls in the office that will do that. Yeah.
And is there, I mean, I know that all clubs are kind of slightly secretive about their criteria, but what are they?
To be honest, it's not. There's always been this kind of, I get messages from people now going, oh, how can we become a member? I'm like, you just join the website.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. It's not, that you have to give a reason why you want to join the Kittens Association. So that, bear in mind, it's just women that join that. So it's very easy to see if you're joining for the right reasons.
What would be the wrong reasons to join?
That it's a lot easier now that we've done this association, because before you'd get guys on there and they'd just give CD things and they're looking for hookups and they're looking for, ads, and it was, sort of, and dick pics flying in as headshots. So it was a lot so it's a lot easier now because everyone's joining for the right reason, but they have to, submit photos where they just look kind of normal.
Okay.
So,
are they clothed photos?
Yeah, clothes.
Right.
And they have to do photos and copy kind of a pose of a computer generated picture, so we know they're genuine people.
Oh, okay.
That's
they
the
haven't just
thing.
stolen other people's.
Yeah, and if you're joining as a couple, then you both have to do the photo, so that you can't. It's not
almost like a
guys
game.
pretending to be a couple. So it's
fine,
so to be honest, it's not. That's the thing. We're not looking for supermodel photos. It's to basically verify that you're genuine people and joining for genuine reasons.
Yeah, of course. And let's talk about that discretion element then. And I imagine that you get lots of applications from people who the tabloids or anyone would be interested to know were at these kind of parties. Do you have to sign NDAs? Do you have to put back phones in
online
Ziploc bags?
when you join as a member, there's an online NDA, and then when you attend the events, you sign NDAs at the door.
Yeah.
On that front.
And can you take your phone in?
So phones are banned.
Yeah.
You can take it. You have them in your pockets, but we have people wandering around in security, and we don't allow phones to be visible in there. And we've always joked that no one's ever checked into a Killing Kittens party on social media or posted a picture at one. So,
wow. Have people ever broken NDAs or tried to?
Do you know what? One, I shall control my language. Female in Ireland signed it and everything, and then there was a thing in the Sunday. But when we sued and got an apology, but I mean they'd already done it with some photos inside.
Wow.
But that was a few years ago.
And that's the only kind of leak you've had?
Yeah, because they just can't. I mean, we get a lot of journalists coming down as members, so
really?
They've kind of shot themselves in the foot on that front.
As in just
actual members,
not trying to do a sting. Okay.
And senior ones, so it's sort of, I would say it's a bit of like Freemasons being a member. Yeah. Okay,
nice. So as long as you get enough powerful people inside,
there's enough from every industry in there that.
Is it a true cross section? Have we got politicians?
It's a complete and utter cross section of every kind of industry. You name an industry, there are members in there.
Okay.
From the entertainment business through to the media, through to finance, politics, you've got them all.
Yeah.
And every time I go, I do pop into one. If I'm out in town with friends and there's one on, I'll say let's go for drinks. I know I'm going to get a seat. So, and you can just sit there having chats around the bar and stuff. And I like meeting members. I like listening and meeting them, and that's always been what I love, people. So I try and go down to at least one a month, go to one somewhere.
Okay.
And there's always, people do business deals. I see business deals
really
done. Or you go, how did you guys meet? And you're like, how they met.
Okay, fine.
Out and about, we've done this deal with this guy.
Wow.
Oh, actually, we met him at one of your parties. Sort of.
So it's kind of like a secret society.
Yeah.
God, that's interesting.
I want like secret cufflinks.
You should do that.
I think so.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'll look out for them if I don't know what would be on them.
Maybe
what's your logo? Is it a
It's
case?
two kind of interactive Ks, which I think cufflinks would look cool.
Awesome. And let's talk about the team here then. What do you look for when you're employing people to work here?
At the moment, there's 14 of us, I think, and it's still very family. So, I mean, not literally family, but it's like a family. So, and quite a dysfunctional one. So there's sort of, so even if on paper someone's like completely qualified for a role we want, we've had a few people, they just don't fit. So there's that slightly unhinged kind of, but open-minded, and you've got to have, and you've got to get it. Because that's the thing, there are people that they just don't get it. They don't get what you're doing.
They apply,
they might apply, and even women. That's the thing. We've had women work. Then you just know that they just don't get what we're trying to do,
What do you mean by that? They don't get it?
Because it's sex. So a lot of people just see sex as sex, and they don't get the intricacies of it and the bigger picture and actually what KK is all about. They'll see it very much. Well, why would people want to, sleep with strangers at parties? It's sort of, and they're never going to get around it. It's like trying to convert people religion-wise. Yeah. You just go, well, that's their opinion. That's their mindset, and sex is very much sort of that kind of mindset.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
How's the concept being received internationally?
Really well, actually. So New York's doing really well.
Yeah.
New York we do monthly. In February we're launching the socials out there. And Sydney we do every other month.
So kind of good. Quite liberal, cosmopolitan cities.
Exactly. And that's what we need sort of. It's us, London, we say is a hub. So we're looking at cities where we can copy what goes on in London, from the online dating side to the offline events. It kind of, so at the moment, sort of New York and Manchester are the two big ones that we're literally replicating London and going full steam ahead on everything, the socials, the panel talks, the full-on Killing Kittens ones. And then, the aim is once we've got them up and running and proved that actually we can, do the same thing in other cities, then we'll look at other cities. Is there anywhere where you've tried to launch and it's really flopped? No, I mean, because we've done some one-off events in different cities. I mean, we've done a couple in LA. I mean, if we really pushed it, we could go there. We just don't have enough hands on deck. But it is, like, for example, LA is one of those places that it's all clean-cut living image, but underneath they're all dirty bastards and at it left, right and centre. So it's sort of in that kind of culture. You drive around the streets of LA at like 11 p.m. at night and it's just dead. It's sort of, but they're all having big crazy house parties, and it's kind of, that kind of made a call quite early on that actually, one day we'll go there, but it's just not, it hasn't got that kind of cosmopolitan. Yeah. So it's just a bit too showy. And people are all about their clean-cut image and squeaky clean and stuff. So, but then there's cities like Amsterdam and Berlin that have very big kind of sex club setups and things like that, where you just have to kind of tweak your offering, because when people are used to going to places where they, don't have to pay, or they pay 20 quid, why would they, Yeah, of course. Yeah, so it's sort of, much more we're just very aware of how the different cities operate.
I want to ask you about your advice for any entrepreneurs, and it's interesting you talk about that kind of anger and fire and that drive. A lot of people find it hard to find something that animates them like that. How does one track it down or find it in themselves?
To be honest, like, everyone talks about, you've got to find your passion, and to me it's like, I know a lot of people that sort of that actually stumps them, because and then they start panicking because they're like, well, what are we passionate about? And I always just say, to me, it's that being completely open-minded and being curious about everything. I mean, we launched a series of events called Curious Kittens that was just that curiosity in the talks and things. And I just say that in life, if you go out and just look everywhere and speak to everyone, even if they've got their resting bitch face on and they look really miserable, it's like I try and kill people with kindness and niceness and break them down, and see the most miserable, angry-looking people as the biggest challenge when I go into an event or something. And it's that just asking questions, and if you're just being curious about everything around you. By doing that, then things come up, things happen. You'll find things that will just sort of go, actually, I've just seen that, and I would never have seen that if I had been, looking down the whole time and not speaking to everyone. And so, my advice to that is you've got to have that curiosity about everything, and that tends to lead you down paths that you never thought. And most people, when launching businesses, even me, if I hadn't had that curiosity, I wouldn't have launched this. Leaving university. I always say, growing up, when I grew up, I want to organise orgies. No one said. So no. It wasn't something in my career plan at all. But it was just being curious about the world, and then going, no, that's not right and that's not right. That led me down this path. And most entrepreneurs, it's the same. And when you ask them why, it wasn't something they planned. Yeah. Going, right, I'm going to go out and, unless you're launching a recruitment business or a estate agent or, something that's just sort of that's what you want to do. But most of the kind of crazy entrepreneurs or businesses are the disruptive ones, have sort of come from people wanting to fix an injustice, to change the way the status quo and how things operate. And So that's my advice on that, and that, you know, you've got to ignore the white noise of the people around you telling you that it can't work and it won't happen, because people like their comfort zones, people like the norm, people like, you know, that what they're used to and what society has always said they can and can't do. So they're going to tell you that it's wrong and it won't work, and that's just humans' default position on responding to things. It's like can't, won't, don't. So you've got to ignore all that, and if your gut is telling you that you really believe in it, you just have to go for it.
What did you want to be when you were growing up?
I went through different phases. I was a bit of a tomboy. I was a complete sports nut, and at prep school, like short hair, and I wanted to be a mechanical engineer for a while. And then I loved my science and maths and physio. So I did sports science at university I started it thinking I'll go and do a master's in sports physio and go down that route. But what I discovered at university was I was very good at organising all the social functions and that kind of side of it. And so I actually went into PR after uni and thought I'm going to keep my sport as my hobby. I went into financial PR and had a few harassment issues, and I think that fueled the fire as well. And I just realised that was all a very patriarchal world, and I was told I'd be a troublemaker if I took it further. So that's when I kind of jumped into entertainment PR, and we worked on this erotic exhibition that got me into kind of the sex industry and different clients in the adult world, and that's when I sort of kind of had the whole sex world.
Okay, it all makes sense now. I should have led with those questions, perhaps.
So it was all kind of this sort of journey.
Yeah, amazing. Does this place run like a sports team on one big social thing?
Do you know what it does? And that's kind of, I'm used to being in teams.
Yeah,
I've always been in teams since I was little.
How many people? 14.
There's 14, and you have, and that's the thing. And I'm used to being in teams, and I'm used to, you know, you have a team captain, you might have a club captain, you have a vice captain, but then you also have the players that are the best players that aren't necessarily the captain and stuff. So it's kind of, to me, that's how our work team works, because actually I look at people, their skill sets, and they're way better players than I am. Well, most of them are in the areas they're in, but I'm kind of the good, I'm not even a good manager. I'm a good leader.
Yeah.
I don't do detail. So I kind of can't really manage the people around me, but I can, be there kind of pushing them on and pulling them along. And that's kind of how I've always operated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been a detail person.
No.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk as well about mentors, the power of kind of mentorship. Did you have mentors at the start who helped you?
No, I think that, doing what I did, because there was no one doing it, because it was, there was no women in doing what I did around me. So what I did do, I didn't have a specific mentor, but I just, from when I was left university, went out to networking events and just went, even though I was by far the youngest, and just thought, sod it, I'd drag myself out, make myself go, speak to loads of people in their 40s and 50s who are directors. And I think I just sort of was a sponge, and just going out and getting information. And I love people and the energy of people, and I just sort of and I'm still great friends with loads of people I met in my 20s, and they're all like in their 60s and 70s now. But they're all people that there was something about them and an energy about them that was kind of this charismatic thing that I could learn from, and I just kept in contact, and I'd meet them for coffees, and you just sort of learn off these successful people. Just by being around them and listening to how they operate.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of,
that comes back to the curiosity and the openness to kind of new ideas.
Yeah, so Mum's always said I collect people.
Okay.
And I have a weird eclectic mix of friends.
Do you? I can imagine you've got
across
a very
all
interesting
ages.
phone book.
And that's the thing. I just love people, and I'm fascinated by people. And I have some great friends who are like early 20s, and I have great friends in their 70s. It's sort of, they're interesting people.
Yeah, I can imagine. I bet you've got some good people for this podcast. What do you think your advice would be to Emma 15 years ago?
You don't know everything. So I think that self-awareness has kind of come on in my 30s. And I think, I've had 3 kids in the last 6 years, and you kind of have to delegate and relinquish control, and you I'm very self-aware, and I'm a proper pain in the arse a lot of the time, and I don't know everything. And I think the minute you realise that and you get help, I think at the beginning I was sort of fine by myself and I could do everything. I didn't need anyone else in the business side. But the minute I sort of relinquished that and realised that actually I needed to look around and I can do that, but I can't do that, and I can't do that, and I can't do that. The can't list is much longer than the can list.
That's true of everyone.
And
though,
exactly.
But we don't
so
often think like that.
That's the thing. I'd say, realise be a little bit more aware, self-aware.
Okay, and what would you congratulate her on?
Just being a badass.
Okay.
And just going for it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I'd say just whatever you do, don't give up. Definitely, that I literally head down. I'm an Aries as well, and anyone who believes in star signs, anything like that, always guess I'm an Aries. It's
really?
the ram. It's it's just sort of head down and ramming straight through.
Are you what's it, astrology?
Astrology.
Yeah. Are you into that?
Do you know what, I don't know all the ins and outs, but I know enough, and I know enough friends where actually you go, it's bang on for most people I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't cold read people. I was going to ask you what you think I am. If you get it right, it'd be very impressive, so you may as well have a guess. And if it's wrong, we'll edit it out.
I don't know. Sagittarius.
No, I don't even know where that is. It's Pisces. Apparently I'm a classic Pisces, but apparently that means kind of superficially charming but almost sociopathic, which I hope isn't true.
I don't know,
That's what one girl said.
Slightly narcissistic.
No, I don't think that's
true.
I wouldn't dress like this.
Charming narcissist, no.
No,
Okay.
God, that sounds terrible.
No, I've had that before. Maybe
you?
I'm just talking about myself.
Maybe that's all it is, just lots of projection. So since 15 years ago, how much do you think attitudes to sex has changed, particularly among women?
Massively, and especially the last 4 years, it's just sort of snowballed the last 4 years. And I think that's the thing, it's sort of this Me Too movement has... it's just fired, lit the fire under sort of the female population. And it's changed. I mean, it's changed massively, but I think what I've seen is sort of what changes first is the freedom and independence financially women have, and jobs that all kind of came first, that equality bit. And then I think what then happens is when you've got that freedom and the independence, and, you're not tied to a man, so you don't have to behave on that front. And you then go, well, actually, I'm totally independent. I earn my own money. Therefore, what's stopping me exploring sexually?
Yeah.
And so that then opened up women on the sexual level. And I've always said it from day one. There's, the Kinsey Institute, there's sexuality scale of sort of 1 to 7. And men tend to be more 1 and 7. And women are very much 3, 4, 5. So I've always said women are very much more naturally touchy-feely. We are much naturally bisexual, really, and bi-curious. It's just how females operate.
Yeah.
And, I've always said, and a lot of girls are like, bollocks, right at the beginning, although less and less now say that. It's like, I don't know a girl that hasn't thought about what it would be like to kiss a girl or that. And you walk down the street, and I probably check out girls more than I check out guys. Yeah. It's just sort of... so actually the natural inbuilt female, level is that. And actually now society and socially it's more acceptable. So I've seen a massive shift in women actually, and women in couples, and women who have been in 20, 30-year marriages who now, a lot of our members, it's the woman in the relationship that is bi-curious or bisexual. And that's what's driving them to the parties.
Yeah. And I'm sure the husband isn't furious about it.
Let's be honest, it's a win-win.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Is that, on the other side, do you think it's harder perhaps for men to rate themselves 3 or 4 on the scale than women? They find that there's more of a stigma behind that? There
is, but what we're also finding, and what I'm seeing our events and in our members, that actually I think because the women are doing it, we're now seeing for the first time that it's some man-on-man softer action that goes on at the event. So
is that permitted? Is that all right?
It is permitted. We just, it's sort of not full on in your face in that, it's kind of, there's nothing aggressive.
Okay.
But we are seeing it, and actually it doesn't bother the women at all. And I think a lot of that is you provide a comfortable, safe space, and it's the norm. It's sort of, well, actually, we're in this fluid world now where it's not black and white, and it's a whole grey area. And there's like, I don't know, how many sexual identities are there now? I don't know, I've lost count. All I know is Piers Morgan is a penguin. apparently. He identifies as a penguin.
Does he?
Yeah.
That sounds like something he'd say.
So, I don't know half of them. I think our new site, actually, we've got, I think, about 12 options.
Okay.
I couldn't name them.
No.
No.
How much do you think Killing Kittens has influenced that change in attitudes?
I don't know. I think we've been a big player in the female sexuality side and changing that acceptance. And I don't know. Do you know what? I have been head down as that ram, just ramming through to do it. And it's like the last couple of years, and like it's been weird because especially the last year, it's suddenly there's a lot of business press on us and me doing sort of business talks and up for awards, and I'm like, this is weird. It's just not. Yeah. It's completely out of my comfort zone. It's not something that was ever planned. And also, I'm so used to, I call our group, in our chat group, the Slack sort of work group, it's named Gladiators, because it's just sort of been us sort of battling through and telling people to sod off and defending ourselves and fighting for what we do, that suddenly it's sort of, actually, it's like as if you kind of appear in the arena and everyone's cheering.
Okay.
And you think, and Patty, and you go, else. Everyone
else is dead on the floor.
It's always like a zombie film. You just sort of, everything looks the same, but the energy's changed.
Okay, I can imagine. Do you think then there'll be a Dame Emma Sayle, KBE?
I think, you've got to aim high.
Right.
Prime Minister.
Mm-hmm. God, that would
get
be
shit
good.
done, change stuff. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a different podcast. We need to get into that. You also launched the Sister app. Yeah. Which is spelt SISTR.
Very tech.
Very tech, isn't it? But, can you tell us a bit about that?
So that we launched the beta site summer last year, and then we've done a lot of sort of research groups and testing, and the main side of that will launch this year. And it's a big platform empowering women on a professional women. And the whole point of it is that it's a huge platform where all these groups out there at the moment, you've got loads of women's networking groups, you've got industry specific ones, you've got ones in different towns and villages and all out, but most of them don't have any tech. They don't have that online community. You go to an event, you've got nothing afterwards to see who went, message people who went. So the whole point of Sister is to enable this world like a female LinkedIn.
Okay.
And we do lots of events, we do panel talks, and at the moment the way the platform is, you can sign up for free, you can then search and browse other members, you can get help, you can message them individually, so there's a big mentoring side to it. But again, mentoring, we're taking away that word really from it, because again it's quite a male black and white word and setup, and it kind of implies the mentor and the mentee, and actually the way women work, most women, we kind of undersell ourselves. Me, not so much. Undersell ourselves, and you'd sit there and you'd be the most qualified. I've got friends who are the most qualified females I know, and they're so successful. But if you said, "Oh, you could seriously help someone," they'd be like, "How?" You wouldn't put yourself forward as a mentor.
Right. Whereas every man would quite like to stand
men oversell themselves. Yeah. That's just how it works, and that's a big reason why there aren't loads of women in the higher positions as well. It's like we can't blame men for everything. We've got to look at ourselves and the way we operate. And so so us and the site is the new profiles and everything when registering. Well, what can you help with? What's your skill? Even if it's picking wine in a bar, or it's sort of everyone has something they're good at and can help do. Yeah. And I could learn off loads of people. I could learn off girls in their 20s who, our social media manager, I think she's 22, 23. She could mentor me on some things because I don't know anything about social media. That everyone can help everyone in some way. Mm-hmm. So rather than it being very sort of black and white, you've got mentors and mentees. It's sort of kind of guidance and being part of a community that I
want to ask you about the future of Killing Kittens before we go into the final part of the podcast. Has anyone ever approached you to buy it?
They have, in the last day a few people have, and we've done these raises now, and the Series A raise in September, we doubled the value last year from the year before, so it kind of you do when you go into the raising money territory, you've got to have an exit plan. Yeah. I mean, I've never really had an exit plan. This is my life, living and breathing it. But now, you've got to change your mindset, and so on that level, that, you know, there are lots of possible exits. I don't think I could ever fully exit it. And I think the nature of what it is, I'd probably, you know, if it did get sold, they'd probably want my opinionated voice in the mix as well. So who knows? We're not in a position to sell. Well, we are in a position, we would, but it would have to be because of the growth rate and the potential. It's sort of, I wouldn't want to sell for a good couple of years. Until everything we want to do has sort of been built and out there, and then...
No, I can't imagine you in an early retirement, really.
Yeah, and I'm completely unemployable, so what would I do?
I don't think that's true at all. I wonder if there will become a stage where this kind of thing is so socially accepted that actually you don't have that fight left, and you've lost, and you might lose the passion. You might be a victim of your own success, if you see what I mean.
It'd be like, it's normal.
Yeah, and everyone will go, well, we don't need Emma Sayles in this world.
Yeah.
You'll probably have to go to something else. What would you do?
I don't know. I think, well, the thing is, though, you know, we've had Killing Kittens and now we're launching Sister, and I'm sort of doing kind of both. And actually, the Sister side of things, I think, is something that's evolved from me evolving and getting older and looking back and thinking, well, what can I give back, and what would I wanted in my 20s to help out? And so kind of, you know, as I constantly evolve in the different stages that I go through life, there'll be something that comes up that would fit. So, you know, you've got Sister that no one's done, you know, our plans for that and what we're launching tech-wise, that's sort of quite disruptive, and no one's done that part. So it's sort of, maybe once that's up and running and KK's up and running on the sexual side of it all, maybe there'll be something else that fits where I am in life, and which I go, actually, that hasn't been done and I need that in my life right now. And
of course.
So let's do that.
We'll look forward to it. What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't running Killing Kittens? If you'd never had that 3-night
Do you know what?
binge?
I think I'd be a surgeon, a brain surgeon or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you into medicine?
I love medicine. I love medical programs. I love gore. I'm not squeamish at all. I was a real scientist at school, and, you know, uni I did science. And I think, and that pressure, working under pressure and that kind of calmness, I think it's slightly psychopathic as well. I think that it's probably that narcissist as well, that fits.
Yeah. Okay, nice.
So yeah,
I think most surgeons are. They've got to be.
You've got to be.
Love themselves a little bit to think that they can save a life.
Yeah, or just that. I think there's a book called The Wisdom of Psychopaths, which someone gave me and said you need to read it. I was like, perfect. And actually, but it's actually all about how, you know, you say about a psychopath, but actually some of the, you know, the the big airline pilots or CEOs and surgeons, they have a level because you have to stay the course and focus, and you can't be distracted by emotion, and so it's that part that is a psychopathic.
Are you good under pressure in a high pressure situation?
Yeah, completely. So I just don't flinch.
Are you flinching on the inside but just kind of
totally crapping myself inside a lot of the time, but I've always said, like, to the event staff, it's like, even if something goes wrong, everyone's feeding off your energy, and you have to act like there is nothing going wrong, even though you're shitting yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Open another bottle of champagne.
Yeah, exactly.
That usually sorts it.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm sure it's more complex than that. What's your worst habit?
My worst habit. I don't know. I don't have huge. I don't know. I'm a real nail biter, but that's really dull. I
don't know. I'm sure there's some deep psychology in that. I'm not going to dig into it, but
a
lot of people bite nails. It must be.
You'll pick my nail. I'm always fiddling. You probably noticed. I literally, hands are always moving and fiddling. Do you know? Probably I don't sit still. There's always something twitching.
Okay.
And like, if I'm, again, that flinching, that poker we were talking about, the good poker player, and the girls who know me well in the office, if I'm on a call or something in the office, if I'm angry, then my right leg starts literally twitching. Nothing else moves. I'm still smiling, but there's a leg that starts.
So if you ever see the right knee jumping,
I think it's probably twitching. There's always something twitching.
Good. I'm sure that's not a terrible habit. What's the most impressive thing you can cook?
Do you know what? I can cook. I make stuff. Like, I think it's that personality that I can't follow a recipe. I have to make it my own. So have a basic, and then I'll see what's in the fridge and just throw it all.
Okay, so there's no recipe.
I create.
You just kind of, you create.
Yeah,
Do
I
they
never
taste
follow
good, these
recipes.
creations?
Yeah, they do taste really good. I'm a really good cook.
You're kind of a jazz cook.
I am proper jazz impromptu cook of what is around, what spices, what's in the fridge, and knowing what will go with what. And
okay,
I'll literally, like, I'll get home tonight and look and see what meat's in the fridge, what veg.
Wow.
And decide to create.
Has anything gone horribly wrong like that? Or they always
they're
amazing?
always all right.
Always
I think I've
palatable,
learned, because you learn spices and everything that goes with what. And
that is a true talent, to put anything together at short notice and feed some people.
it's that, yeah.
That'll get you far, I think. What are you most proud of so far?
Do you know what? I think probably being able to still be smiling and still alive and not having killed any of my 3 children, and having 3 children in the last 6 years with everything that's gone on in society, and growing the business to what it is. I think that's probably keeping that balance, being able to balance, is what I'm most proud of, whilst keeping my sanity.
Have there been really tough moments? Have you felt kind of attacked in the press or personally? Really difficult?
No, to be honest, I've developed a thick skin very early on.
Yeah.
So even Daily Mail headlines or whatever, I have a very strong group of friends and family, and I make a real effort with them, and I think that, that social support group is vital, and all the mental health, stuff that came out last year always said the number one thing is your social network, and that's always something I've invested in, and that keeps me sane, and that's sort of, if they know, and I only really value their opinions. So anything else that's said, it's just sort of. Yeah.
Do you read Daily Mail comments, for example?
No, I stopped that after about 2 years.
I can't imagine that's
they
much
were
fun.
Pretty full on.
Really? What are people so angry about?
I don't know. I just think that if a lot of people, that the people that have time, it's like people on Twitter, the people that have time to troll and comment have nothing going on in their lives, because everyone I know that has something going on in their life don't have the time to comment on a Daily Mail piece or send 20 tweets in a day. Abusing people. It's like you literally have nothing better to do with your lives. So I just feel sorry for them. I've learned very quickly that it's their issues, it's their problems, it's their insecurities, it's something going on. They're not happy people. So, when we get something in the office, I'm very quick to go, they're obviously not a happy person. Okay. So, yeah.
Good. So don't worry about that.
No.
What's your biggest failure then been so far?
I think that, there is that when you make sacrifices, and I think anyone that sets up a business and that's their it becomes a bit of your be all and end all. So you've sacrificed actually some friendships, and so it's that which you could see as a failure on one hand, but I think you choose you choose the path. You go on, and you really can't do everything, and but again, it's sort of that my personality is that I don't really see failure. It's sort of, you look back and you go, oh, well, that didn't work and that failed. But at the time, you don't even think about it. You just think, how am I going to make it work? Yeah. Or, swerve in this direction and pivot to make something. It's only when you look back and you go, actually, that concept failed miserably and that. So, but at the time, I'm not really one that goes, oh my God, I failed. Okay. I probably have massively.
Just haven't noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could learn a new skill, what do you think it would be?
Play the guitar.
Really?
Yeah. I played the piano at school. I played the trombone actually for 7 years at school. But again, no one else at school played it, and it was an all-girls school, so I decided that I needed to play the trombone. Really? Was there a place for you in the orchestra? Did they need a trombone? Right. Yeah,
so
I was in the orchestra.
In the first orchestra.
From the age of 9, I was in the first orchestra.
They were desperate for a trombonist.
I wasn't any good at it, but
What did everyone else want to play? Violin and flute?
Everyone played the violin, which sounded disgusting.
Exactly.
Recorder,
Trombone, much better.
Yeah, way better. Really cool.
I played the trumpet.
Did you?
But the only concert we ever had that my parents came to, the guy next to me had a cough. So he kept coughing through his trumpet, and it destroyed the whole brass section.
So you blame the other person?
That's what I'm doing now. Maybe I've made it all up and I'm the guy with the cough. I don't know. But I remember walking out of that feeling utterly crestfallen, because we'd practiced this song, and then he'd
And
messed
he ruined
it up.
it.
I'm sure, I'm sure he's a lovely guy now.
No, not going to let it go.
I'm not going to let it go, but you know what? I didn't play the trumpet after that. I could have been Miles Davis. I don't think I could have been Miles Davis.
I picked up the trombone again about 10 years ago. An ex's grandpa had it, and they had an old trombone in the loft, and I played it. And
it all came back to you?
Yeah, when the Saints go marching in.
Yes, that was the first one I learned as well.
Literally. Yeah, he said it was one of the hottest things. I did find the trombone and then marched downstairs from the bedroom and playing it naked. So
really,
he went, that was just fucking epic.
That's amazing. Well, you should take up a new instrument then.
Guitar. I'd love to play the guitar. To me, it'd be like a chilled, or ukulele.
Yeah, and I think using your brain and your hands and your kind of muscles, we don't often learn new muscle skills in adulthood.
Yeah, and it's quite chilled. I think I'm so busy in 1,000 miles per hour in all parts of my life, which is only getting quicker and quicker and quicker, that actually, even like building Lego last weekend, I hate Lego. I've always said I hated Lego, but recently, my son's turned 5, he keeps getting given a lot of Lego.
Yes.
That it's actually really therapeutic. So I'm thinking I might bring some Lego into the office just to sit there building Lego. That's gonna be my thing. There's gonna be like massive, like Star Wars galaxy.
I'm sure the people
in the
who
office
work
of Lego
at Lego, or at least in Legoland Windsor, are quite happy. Actually,
well, we live up the road from them.
Do
I was there last Friday.
Were you? Mm-hmm. That sounds like a good Friday night.
Stayed in the Legoland hotel.
Did you actually?
Living the dream.
Wow. My 10-year-old self would be very, very jealous of that. I wasn't big enough last time I went. Again, I've got lots of kind of childhood trauma, clearly, to go on the rides that my friends did. So I need to kind of revisit that as well. Trumpet and Lego. Mm-hmm. Why did you hate Lego?
I think I hated it. I mean, loved it when I was little, and I think I've just always hated the idea of all the little bits. And now suddenly I've got it back in my life through my son.
Yeah.
That when I look at it and go, oh God, that's going to take me an hour to build. Once I've started building it, I'm like, actually, I could do this.
There's kind of adult Lego now. Have you seen it? Lego's moved on.
Yeah.
So you can get kind of grown-up looking
Well,
boxes.
there's a new one. There's a new Friends range.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a whole cafe.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
I'm actually nice to the cafe. Yeah, I was thinking of other people. That's quite interesting. Reenact scenes from that. What was the last piece of advice you gave to someone?
I think normally my piece of advice is like, fuck them. It's like a genuine one in the office that, that's what Emma would say.
Okay.
On that level. It was block out the haters, because someone was asking about a business idea and friends and family were saying don't do it and stuff. So.
And you're a classic.
I'm very much, if you really believe in it. And I always say, in the one bit of advice I always say to people is like, think of the worst case scenario. What's the worst thing that can happen if you go for it? And I remember doing that when I launched, and I thought the worst thing that can happen is I'll end up sleeping on friends' sofas because I can't pay my rent.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Sounds quite fun.
So yeah, exactly. And so to me, it's always like, what's the worst case scenario?
Yeah.
And if you can survive the worst case scenario, then what have you got to lose?
Exactly. It all comes back to that comfort zone, the safe, feeling safe. It's not a good place to be for long.
Get out of your comfort zone, no. Yeah.
If you could be one age, what would you like to be and why?
Do you know what? It's weird because I'd be 40, which was, I'm 41 now. Probably turning 40, but when I turned 40, I was pregnant. I do have 3 small kids, and it's exhausting. So I've kind of got this mishmash of.
Okay.
I'd be
relations.
that. Yeah. If I was 40 but no kids, then that would be with everything going on with. Yeah. I think they're crazy. I don't think anyone in their right mind, when kids are sort of under 5, want to be back in that zone.
Okay.
So I've had a real mix, kind of. On one hand, I've been in that zone personally, kids-wise, and then the other hand, business-wise, and socially, and just self-awareness, and just not caring really, and being comfortable in my own skin has all happened at the same time. So it's sort of
Okay, so it's a real turning point, 40. Do you miss the mid-20s party, Emma?
No, because I'm still out and about partying. Just not every night of the week. It's just slightly more planned. No, I don't, because I was so insecure in my 20s and had issues left, right, and just, and sort of, not I always joked that back then, and I was single and, mid-20s, and I had no interest in taking my clothes off or getting involved in anything then. And now, post 3 kids where I no longer care and I'm so comfortable in my own body. I'm like, the irony is like, now I can't.
Okay. So 40.
Yeah.
If you could banish one phrase from the earth, or at least from this office, what do you think it would be? What do people use too much?
Oh, think outside the box.
Right.
Oh, that really annoys me. Or
Isn't
blue,
that
or
just
blue sky thinking. It's like all this. There's so many like agency buzzwords and expressions that you're like, well, what exactly does it mean?
Yeah, think outside the box is it's kind of now it's so obvious.
Yeah, more that's just like use your own brain.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
just do what other people are doing.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the same as getting outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Who knows? We're all
It is, but that's just a bit more edgy now. Get out your comfort
Yeah,
zone
it is.
rather than think outside the box.
Do people say things in this office and you say, that's not a Killing Kittens word, don't use that?
No, because they kind of, the people we get are sort of real, mishmash, quirky, and people that are now also, most people haven't come from, a big agency corporate culture. So they kind of haven't got those expressions and terms sort of, groomed into them.
There are often ways, I think, of cheating, basically. You don't really know something, but you've got 3 or 4 stock phrases that can get you out of almost any scenario.
Yeah, completely. And you sit there going, you're just bullshitting. Yeah.
Someone told me a really good thing to say, if you don't know what you're talking about, is say, there are 3 parts to this. And then you say anything in those 3 parts, people go, God, he's really thought about that.
Do you know what? That one I've kept hearing, and someone said it last year about when you're pitching to investors, is like if they ask you a tricky question,
I think.
Well, actually, there are 3. There are 3 parts to that answer. Sort of, and I think anyone that knows will know that's what they're doing.
Exactly.
So,
I've seen people say it to me, and I kind of go, hold on, I know that
back
trick.
it up.
It's pretty good. Unless, of course, there are just 3 really interesting parts to it, but there rarely are.
Yeah, it's a definite way of stalling the conversation so that you can get it back in control.
Yeah, exactly.
And act like considered. You know what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, we are all bullshitters, as you say,
we are,
so maybe
winging
it's not
it,
such a terrible thing.
big time.
Do you have any kind of quirky interview rituals or questions you ask when people come and apply for a job here?
Do
you go to the pub with them? Is that important?
Well, do you know what? I've kind of had the hiring bit taken out of my hand by the CEO because I kind of like most people.
Okay.
And won't ask the right questions. And they're cool. So we kind of have a joke that he will do that and then I might meet them at the end once everyone else has okayed it. So I don't really get much say in it.
Okay, fine. At that point it's done.
But then what happens is like they get told don't go out for a drink with Emma because you'll end up in Platinum Lace Strip Club till like 5 a.m. Okay. And that's when the initiation really happens.
I can imagine. Mm-hmm. I think they should all do that. They should all go through that. I think they all should do it. I've
basically broken the virginity of most people on the lap dancing front.
Okay, that's good. What have you done recently for the first time?
What have I done recently for the first time? Do you know, all my sports stuff, a lot of the sports challenges I do, because we've got a big group called the Sisterhood and we do loads of crazy sports events for different charities. And so every year we did a new, from the channel, towards the end of last year and ran from LA to Vegas.
Did you do it in
first times?
LA to Vegas?
So we did a relay,
through the desert?
Yeah, so we relay ran from LA to Vegas.
And you swam the channel?
4 of us relay swam it.
Did you have to put all the whale blubber on or whatever it is?
No, we cheated. We went in wetsuits.
Okay,
like,
so if you want
an official, if you want an official certificate, it's the official channel swim. And we were like, no, I get cold too quickly. So
warmer.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't talk. I don't think I've swam at length for about 20 years. What is your most treasured possession?
Probably my dog. I've got a Cocker Spaniel.
Does that count? I think living things aren't possession. You can't own a dog. It's its own thing.
But you know, I'm not a possession person. I don't, you know, we did our house insurance and I'm like, wedding ring and I've got a $3,000 racing bike. That's kind of, I'm not really, I'm not a designer person. I don't have,
Is there a flyer or a ticket stub from the first ever Killing
Do you know what I've got?
event?
No, there isn't. But I have got 2 champagne corks, one from when the first financial raise closed and one from the second that we... So I've got them. I just need to put them in
a case or something.
Mount them with when we do
That's quite good.
September one.
Did you write the date on them or something? Or did you just know what they're...
I just know them. They're in a drawer. I need to do something with them.
It'd be quite interesting to mark your life with champagne corks, different
I
celebrations.
probably definitely could. I should have collected them earlier.
Should have got that first champagne cork.
Hilarious story. Yeah.
Is there a book that's influenced you more than anything else?
Do you know what? There's a massive one, Pillars of the Earth. I can't remember who wrote it. I read it in my 20s. I mean, it's like it's huge. And that, I mean, it's fiction, but it's all community. It's like goes back to 14th century and then building a cathedral, but it goes through hundreds and hundreds of years of this family.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know, for some reason, it just sort of has always been my favourite book, and I've read it a couple of times. And it's just that sense of community and also that, to me, it's sort of, it defines that you're part of a much bigger picture. and that, you know, why are you worrying about something that goes
Yeah.
on in the next 30 seconds when, if you look,
perspective.
It's perspective, and that's what the book to me is. Yeah.
Are you a spiritual person? Do you think about the cosmos and?
I am spiritual in that I have a great faith in things are meant to be and things happening for a reason and not fighting it, and we're a part of a much bigger, you know, entity, and every day I'm grateful. It sounds cheesy, but it's just sort of, and I say that to, you know, that's advice I give to people. It's like you can get so bogged down in your own nitty gritty that actually if you go for a walk and think about all the things you're grateful for that day or the day before, it just completely changes your mindset and makes you realise just actually most of the stuff you're worried about is just irrelevant.
Do you consciously do that? Do you consciously kind of list things?
I've got much better.
Do you write them down, or do you just say them out loud, or how do you do it?
Just say it out loud. Like, we live right on the river, so I'll walk the dogs and
say to the dog, what's the dog called?
Rex. And we've just got a little puppy.
I'm so happy about this sandwich I had for lunch. Is it on that kind of level?
I don't mean say it out loud, I will think it.
Oh, fine, okay. Because someone told me you have to say them out loud, but
really?
If you're on the tube or something, it's hard to...
Yeah, no, I could do that because no one's on the river with me,
Okay,
I might try
maybe
that next
shout
time.
into a river.
Yeah. Maybe.
That's a top tip from a sales, shout at rivers. What's your personal motto? Do you have a personal motto?
No, I mean, I've got loads. I mean, I love the whole, for the weather to change, the winds must blow. And you say that to people when they're suddenly like, shit, this is all changing. And I'm like, well, that's what, you know what I mean? It's sort of between weather changes, the wind blows and you have this uncertainty. And, you know, Brexit, classic example.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of that, go with it.
Yeah. And what's your idea of happiness then? When do you think you've been happiest?
To me, it's the same with success. It's how, you know, being successful and being happy to me is being able to have that balance. So, you know, I'm very lucky, and it's sort of been part of my positioning in that, you know, I come into the office probably 2-3 days a week, and actually I could go and pick the girls up from nursery or pick Raph up from school and actually have that time. I'm not sort of, and that being able to have that balance and go away for a weekend and go on holiday, and I'm not governed by 20 days of holiday a year. Yeah. And so, yeah, being able to balance that home work life to me defines happiness and success.
Yeah, you've got to have both, don't you?
Yeah.
Amazing.
That balance.
Emma, thank you very much. It's been fascinating. Thanks for coming on the episode.
Thanks for having me.
On the podcast, even. Well, if you enjoyed that episode of the Gentleman's Journal podcast, you'll almost certainly love the Gentleman's Journal magazine, the world's finest dispatch from the front line of luxury, entrepreneurship and style. In fact, lucky podcast listeners like you now get 20% off our annual subscription. Just enter the code POD20 at thegentleman'sjournal.com to find out.